Hey guys, we are Luke and Ash, and welcome to the Luke and Ashley Playbook podcast.
Welcome.
This is our first podcast we've ever done officially, but unofficially. We had another podcast years ago in 2017. We're not even going to go down that path and explain to you guys what that was all about. That was
Trial and error.
But we want to introduce you guys to the very first episode, and as we do that, we're going to play this intro music. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that intro. If you are listening to us on the podcast, we also have a whole YouTube side of things where you can kind of see Ash and I talk about the things that we're going to talk about and go from there. So if you want to listen to it, great. But if you also want to watch it, you can do the same thing too. So that intro was pretty fire. I actually do think so because I made it.
You did a great job. It makes us, I told him, I was like, it makes us look like we live like this glamorous life.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Well, and like I told her, every social media person out there does the same thing. You capture the content, and then you pick the best moments of that content, and then you just show that content, and then everyone thinks you're...
You made us look really cool.
Yeah, everyone thinks you're like super cool and famous, and you got all these glamorous jobs and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool. So what is the Luke and Ashley Playbook podcast? We're going to introduce what that is to you guys, kind of go over like... the plan that we have for the podcast. This is going to be a different type of podcast. This isn't going to be like a normal podcast that you would show up and we're going to have these different guests on. We're going to have guests on, but we're not going to ask you, because we're photographers. So we are wedding photographers. We're wedding and commercial brand photographers. I guess we should intro with that too, but that's who we are. And we're not going to have typical guests that come on and we're going to be like, so what's your marketing strategy and how do you do SEO? And, tell us about, I don't know, just we're trying to do something different with this podcast that I think is going to be pretty cool. What are your thoughts?
I'm excited for it. It's different. And if you know us, we're always trying something different. We're always doing something different. So, yeah, here we are.
If you don't know us, you're about to figure us out.
Buckle up, buttercup.
Okay. Super weird when that one came out. All right, so like we said, we're Luke and Ashley. We are wedding photographers, and we've been doing this for about 13 years. We are also brand or commercial brand photographers, videographers. So we have a whole another side of our business, which is commercial photography, commercial videography. And then with our wedding photography, that's what we've been doing the most. We did start doing photo video when we first got going, and eventually dropped the video side of things. And then just did and have stuck with photography for the majority of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. I do get in these long spills at times where I don't let Ash talk, so I'm going to make sure I'm mindful of this.
I appreciate that.
Tell us about who we are, Ash. What is special about today?
Well, today, 20 years ago, we eloped in Alaska.
Yeah.
Negative 45 degrees.
Yep.
My roommate married us. In Alaska, anyone can marry you. And so my roommate married us. And here we are, 20 years later. It's working out.
It's working out. Again, if you're watching this podcast, you're going to see a lot more of the facial expressions. But don't worry, we'll keep it lively for those that are listening. So it just happened to work out as we were planning this podcast. We were supposed to do it on Saturday. And we have 3 kids. We have 3 teenagers, right? Ryan?
Almost, yeah.
He's about to be 13 in July, probably.
Yes.
We're filming it. Our anniversary is January 16th, so I'm not sure when you're listening to this, but January 16th is today of 2024, and it's our anniversary 20 years ago. So we have 3 kids. We were supposed to do this on Saturday, our intro podcast and a few episodes, kind of knocked them out. But our oldest daughter has gotten into the dating arena. And long story short, the boy she met on Snapchat. We're
not getting into that.
Yeah, we can get into a whole parenting podcast if you guys want to. But anyways, all this has a bunch of drama happened and not good stuff, but whatever. it happened, and as good parents, you want to be involved with your children.
I
And
didn't know we were going down this.
we are
this
going.
hole.
We're going. And so, anyway, Saturday was the day that we met the boy for the first time. The boy, the boy that likes Olivia, and Olivia likes the boy. Zach's his name.
Okay.
You're going down, boy. No, I was kidding.
No, very, very nice guy.
Yeah.
It was great.
So the day shifted. So it just ended up today. We're shooting this on our anniversary. We have another day planned for celebrating 20 years.
And we have a big trip planned.
And a big trip planned. We're going to try to go back to Alaska this year.
Yep.
And during the summertime, because
Yes.
negative 45 degrees, 10-foot snowbanks,
Not fun.
not the best.
So we're going to go, and we're also going to take the kids.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, and do all that fun stuff. What else? I see I'm taking over. I'm trying to be mindful of that.
I just didn't know we were going into that deep of personal life.
Somebody
there.
out there wanted to know the deep side of us, and
Yes,
I felt
so
compelled.
Here we are on our anniversary filming our podcast. How exciting.
Yeah. What else? You want to talk more about the journey of who we are? Like what made us get into photography? Oh, no. She messes the story up.
Okay.
No, you don't mess the story up. You just leave certain aspects out. I've told the story so many times in our 13 years of doing this. I feel like I've got the best story to take.
Tell it. I'm
But
excited. I just need, tell it. Go for it.
I just don't want to take your thunder.
You're not.
You're not? Okay, cool. All right, so what got us into photography? Ash and I both met in the military. We both served in the United States Air Force. We both joined 2002. We didn't know each other. We just met in the military at tech school there at Shepherd Air Force Base in Wichita Falls, Texas is where we met. We probably met, we did basic in December, got out in January, got to tech school February. We probably met like March, April time frame and kind of dated for a few weeks or 3 weeks, give or take. And then Ash, she was what were you?
An X-ray tech.
I know that. I was trying to.
Oh, I was.
I know what you did.
Forget? No, I was in radiology.
Yeah, she was an X-ray tech. I was a F-15, F-22 crew chief, so I was a jet mechanic. And so our training was there at the same Air Force base. So she got orders to Alaska, probably April, May timeframe, right?
Alaska. How do
Right?
they say it?
Alaska. That was the proposal. Probably one of my favoriteest
Yeah,
movies.
I love that movie.
It is a fantastic movie with Sandra Bullock and...
Ryan Reynolds.
Is it Ryan Reynolds? Yes, I was going to say Chris Pratt, but no,
No,
that's
it's Ryan
wrong guy. So fantastic movie. So every time we watch that, it reminds us of us, but we're not that cool. We're cooler. I don't know. We're digging holes here. Anyway, so we got in she went to Alaska. I stayed in Texas and then eventually moved to Virginia. And then after I tried to ask her to marry me twice, she said no both times. She came home for Christmas in 2003. Her parents talked some great sense into her.
My parents didn't talk sense into me.
Oh.
I just got on the plane and knew that he was the one.
I was trying to give your parents props. Here.
So I got back to Alaska and I called him up and I said, okay, let's get married. So in his mind, I proposed to him and that's how it happened.
No,
but I was just saying yes to his last two proposals.
No, when you say no to two asks, the answer is no. But then when you ask,
I didn't ask.
when you say, it's
I didn't ask. I said, okay, let's get married. And you were on the next flight.
I was. I flew up to Alaska. It was a long flight from Virginia all the way up to Alaska. And I'll never forget, I got out of the plane in Alaska and I was so excited.
Okay, let's back up real quick. Let's back up. I was 19. We barely knew each other.
I was 6. No, I was.
Barely knew each other. And it was just something like when you know, like when you meet somebody and you're like, okay, this is who I'm supposed to marry. This is who I'm supposed to spend my rest of my life with. You know in your heart, but at the same time, like the people around you, your family, everybody else, speak things into your life. Like, that's crazy. You don't know him. We don't know him. That's crazy. So
Kind of like how we are right now with our daughter.
all of that is stirring up inside of me at 19. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just told him to fly to Alaska. Oh my gosh, I'm really going to elope without my parents being here. Oh my gosh. So all these emotions are going inside of me. I show up to get him from the airport and
I'm walking down the tarmac, or not the tarmac. That's not like I landed outside. I'm walking down the
escalator.
the escalator, not walk down the. I don't think there was escalators in Alaska. It was like a single.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, whatever. The parking area or whatever.
It doesn't matter.
It's a hallway, big hallways. Pretend you're in Atlanta. No, but I'm walking towards her, and she's walking towards me, and I see her. My heart's racing.
It's like in a movie, like you see each other.
Everything slowed down. There was music playing. Mm-hmm. There was gas, there was audience, there was tears beginning to well up in other people's eyes, and she turned around like that, and I was like, "What?" Like she did it. If you're in the military, she did an about face. She made a 180-degree turn and walked the opposite direction.
And he was like, "Wait, Ash, I'm right here. I'm right here. Wait."
Did I do that? I may have done. Well, I don't know.
I heard him crying. So
this is exactly. If you watch the proposal, we're doing. It was almost like that, like
I turn
making
around
it up,
and I see him on his knees crying,
begging. It's just like the movie. What a great movie! I'm gonna have to watch that after this. This is so good.
So anyway, we eloped.
Yeah, she turned around and came back to me.
I did come back.
That's why we're here.
And 20 years later, it worked out.
Yeah, it did. It worked out. It's been a great ride.
Yes. So how we got into photography?
Well, we're getting it. Well, we got to talk about. We told them it was our 20-year anniversary. We had to talk about our 20-year anniversary.
Yes.
So if anybody knows any great counselors, we'll be good. So we got married. We were in the military. We got out of the military in 2008. And Luke had an entrepreneurial bug that he wanted to fulfill, an itch. I turned down a photography job. So I got into photography at a church we were attending at the time, and I was just taking pictures of just general stuff. We had our first daughter. Everyone buys a camera at the time. More than likely when they had their kids. iPhones had not yet come out yet. I think there were still like these Android stuff. So there wasn't really a decent camera besides buying one. So I bought a Sony CyberShot, little flip screen, like flip it, it's a big screen on the back, you flip the front and it comes on and stuff like that. Got into photography, started shooting things and friends at church, not like portraits or family sessions, just documenting, the life of what was going on. Our dog ate our first camera. Best Buy gave me a warranty at the time, or I had one. I was able to turn it in and get a different camera, which I ended up getting another Sony high zoom. It looked like a DSLR, and I don't even know what the model of this was, but it was like a high zoom DSLR type of camera, automatic settings. I don't even know if there's manual settings on it, but it looked like a DSLR, but it was automatic in a sense. Like it was very easy. You can zoom in and out, telephoto type of thing. So we bought that and was using that, and I had some experience for a photography job, and I turned one down in 2008 or 2009, early 2009, and we decided to buy a business. And it was a water.
We didn't decide. Luke decided to buy a business.
You're true. So if you're husband and wife photography team, or you're just a husband and wife team or anything, let's talk a little bit about that process. Again, this is the intro podcast. You guys can know more about us, and we'll have way more fun as we get going. Anyways, went to go buy this business, and the owners needed collateral for the business. It was a $165,000 water business, so like the 5-gallon jugs you put on your shoulders. Or 3-gallon jugs, they were distributing that. They were making distilled water, and we had shipping routes and our delivery routes, and different things like that. And we would deliver water. They would. People can walk in and get their own water. So they needed collateral. So me and this guy, we went to go buy it, and I put our house up at the time we were in, $165,000 collateral against the business, and I signed, that on the paperwork with the lawyer. And then I came home and told Ash.
No, you didn't.
I didn't?
No, I didn't know about that for years.
Oh, what? No way. I don't believe that.
No.
That's insane. Who would not tell their spouse something like that? Crazy.
Very insane, but you did.
Let's see. So about a year and a half into that business, the business failed horribly. I call it our fantastic failure because at the age of 26, we figured out how not to run a business and how not to not pay employees and how to deal with all kinds of expenses and things and taxes and all the stuff that goes with business at a very young age with 2 kids.
And one on the way.
One on the way. So it was a very dark time for us. We were struggling. Mm-hmm. So by the time we shut the doors, we were $86,000 in debt. We had 2.5 kids, give or take. We were on food stamps, and I was able to find a job making $12 an hour And I was lucky to get paid every 2 weeks because this was like Luke, you reap what you sow kind of thing. Like this company also struggled at times paying its employees on time. And so every 2 weeks I'd maybe get a $600 paycheck, give or take. When you're 86 grand in debt and you've got probably 12 collectors calling you daily, and you look at your phone number and you're like, oh, that's USAA, and you hang up or you ignore the call. Oh, that's Sprint. Oh, that's AT&T. Oh, that's taxes. Oh, that's Yellow Book, because we had Yellow Book at our other business. Oh, that's whomever it was. It wears you down, right? And I don't even know if you got all the phone calls. I don't think you got all of them.
I got the personal ones. You were getting the ones from all the businesses.
Yeah. And so I'll never forget, it's a little side thing, I'll never forget the day I changed my phone number. And I had that other phone number for years, but I'll never forget the day I changed my phone number. And it was like peace happened. Because you're constantly getting these phone calls, and then you change your number, and then no one has your number. It was magical. Like, I mean, I'll never forget. I know exactly where I was sitting, the vehicle I was sitting in, the people who I was with, the moment I switched my number, and like, it was quiet. It was awesome. I'll never forget that. So we eventually, the job that I got, or had at the time, got me experience to get into a local shipyard. We're in the Hampton Roads, Virginia area, in Portsmouth, Virginia. I got a job at Norfolk Naval Shipyard as doing the job that I was currently doing on the outside. They needed someone like that, so I got in. I was installing electronic screens and electronic classroom stuff. You push a button and the projector screen comes down, like in colleges. You push another button and like televisions come on. You can control the volume, different things. It's in the presentation box of a classroom for the teachers and stuff. So we were doing that. The shipyard had a 30 classroom schoolhouse that they needed someone to run and manage all that for. So I got a job doing that, and then about a year into that, I moved over to the photography department. So we started our business around that same time, 2011, when we started it.
Right. We started our business, and we'll back up a little bit if we're really going on to all the details. But walking away from the business with $86,000 in debt, like we had no idea what we were going to do. So the only reasonable answer to this was, well, we need to file for bankruptcy. And I remember that we went to the office, we wrote a check. It was
$100 even.
$100. And came home. We were like, well, this is what it is. Well, Luke had been listening to a podcast, and Dave Ramsey's podcast, and he came home, and I don't know, did you have the book or did you share the podcast with me?
Well, I had been listening to it because a friend shared the audio book with me, and then I stumbled upon, and iPhones had come out by then, and I was listening to podcast or his app, and I was listening to him on just advice. So you're getting energized. I think one of the most empowering things about Dave Ramsey and his program is that there's other people that are in this boat with you that have done what Dave calls stupid tax. They've made stupid decisions, financially decisions. They've done bad stewardship, and their misbehavior with money and choices have put them in the situation that they don't know what to do. They're at their rope's end. They're desperately looking for an answer, desperately looking for a way to get out of it. And you've got Dave Ramsey, one of a few different people at the time that were talking about a way to manage your money. His way just clicked, and it made sense for us. It resonated with us. His story resonated with us.
I'll never forget, you came home, and it was the book. You had played the audio book for us, and I remember sitting in the living room and just listening to it. So the first chapter, he talks about his struggle, and he talks about how he was getting sued from his other businesses, how they would sit at the kitchen table and like just go through the bills, like the bills were just piling up, taxes. And I just remember sitting there just literally crying because it was like he was telling our story. I related so much to that. But then he goes on to like share his process of how he got himself out of debt and all the things. So we became hooked. Well, we had already filed for bankruptcy. Well, it was embarrassing, but it was also, I think, a godsend because that check that we gave the bankruptcy lawyer bounced.
We were so broke that we couldn't even file for bankruptcy.
And so,
And the crazy thing is, Dave, and I'll never forget, like multiple times before we did that, I listened to everything because that's a big decision if you're going to file for bankruptcy. And I wanted to listen to everything I could that he had to say about bankruptcy. He's like, "Don't do it. It's going to nuke your credit life. It's going to nuke just your financial life for a period of time." He had filed for bankruptcy. Dave Ramsey did. And he explains why. If you ever go back and listen to him, and I know there's some people that are like, "Oh, Dave Ramsey's an idiot" or whatever. Look, just. We're not even going to get into all those fun things. He's fantastic for the season of life that you need him in at that moment. And so he talked about all those different things, and we're like, all right, we're just going to do it. And I think the weight of being in at the time, like we didn't have a job or a way to produce more income to begin to get ourselves out of debt. When you're making $600 possibly every 2 weeks, and you're on food stamps, and you can barely pay your mortgage. And yeah, you have some food taken care of, but you got to pay your bills, and we only got $100 left over.
we didn't have anything left over. We were constantly in the negative.
Looking at $86,000, like, how are we ever going to pay this thing back? There's no way. We're just going to stay stuck or go further back behind. And so it was great when I was thankful and relieved when the check bounced for bankruptcy.
Right, because then it was like, okay, we have a plan. We're going to do what Dave Ramsey says, and we're going to get ourselves out. And so that's when the gears started working, because someone came up to us and approached us. They knew Luke had taken pictures at church, and they were like, go for it.
Yeah, I was like, we had shot 2 weddings. September 26, 2009 was our very first wedding we ever did, and I just remember it because friends and other stuff going on. That's when we still had our water business, and then there was one in 2011.
Right.
But the penny never dropped.
Yeah, we just did it for friends. He had to borrow a camera.
Yeah.
Like, it never dropped. The penny never dropped. So then a friend approaches us. Well, we're like, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna pay off this debt. We're gonna figure this out. A friend approached us and was like, hey, can you take our family photos? We'll pay you $25. And we were like, what? And at the time, like, we didn't get our family pictures taken. I remember going to the mall to get the girls at the time's pictures taken with picture people. Like, that's all I thought, like, photography was like in-studio photographers. I didn't even know photographers were a thing. So I remember we were like Googling, we were like, oh, photographers in our area or something like this. And this whole world opened up to us. And we were like, people actually charge money to take photos? Like, we couldn't believe it. And so then we were like, okay, we're going to figure this out. We're going to get on Craigslist. We're going to say family photos for $25. And sure enough, those calls started coming in, and we had no idea what we were doing. We were terrible. We showed up to every session with all our kids because we couldn't afford a babysitter. So I would have the baby strapped to me, and then we had 2 under 4 running around, and we made it work.
Yeah, we had 1 camera, 1 babysitter, which was me or Ash, depending on. I started shooting first, and then Ash started getting into it. So just depending on who was shooting or who was doing what at the time, and then we ended up getting 2 cameras, and then we would bounce back and forth. But for the probably first 4 years, the kids were at every engagement session. Well, they were there for a good while. I mean, I'd probably say longer than that. Probably 6-7 years they were there until they got old enough to where they could stay at home by themselves and kind of like self-manage themselves and kind of watch, or friends.
Great. It was great for our family. It was great for our brand. We never had any issues with couples. Like, they loved it. We never took them to weddings. So we would show up to weddings, and our couples would be like, oh, where's your kids? Like, they would expect the kids to be there. And we're like, no.
Yeah, we're not going to bring the kids to a wedding.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But we would use, whatever money we got in to hire a babysitter for the wedding day.
Yeah.
So
lots of babies. So a tip, those who have kids at this moment, and a photographer, if you're looking to, how do I do this? At the time, you used a Facebook group. You created a babysitter list, a Facebook group.
Yeah, so we don't have family here, and, I didn't really know a lot of people, so I just started kind of networking and getting to know, like, young college girls, high schoolers, and I created a group in Facebook with all the girls kind of dumped in there, and I would put my wedding dates in there, and so they would sign up. And there were times when, like, one girl would sign up, but something would come up, she couldn't do it, and so instead of telling me, she would just find a replacement in the group. So it was great. I don't know if Facebook would work today because people aren't on Facebook like that, but however you can manage it, just getting a group of people that you can rely on is so beneficial.
Yeah. So somebody asked us to shoot their family. $25 was our first family shoot, our first paid session. Went on Craigslist. We started advertising that we do family photography, seniors, whatever it was. Weddings. Our very first wedding. Well, we'll talk about that. But yeah, we just started advertising on Craigslist. $25, we'll do your family session and we'll shoot you. And it's the best work that we can do at this moment. I'll never forget our very first couple that asked us to shoot them. Were African American. They're close friends of ours in our church, family of 4. They were super darker than a light skinned African American. And forgive me if I'm messing this up too much, but when we photographed them, we didn't know how to photograph in manual mode, so everything was done automatically. So when we looked at pictures online and we said, "Oh yeah, this is how we need to pose them," we put their backs to like the sun or to the side, and then we had to photograph. But we didn't know anything about lighting. So those are some of our worst photos that we've ever taken because we did not know how to expose properly. And the couple still laughs about it today, and they just love it.
They still have one of the photos as a background photo.
Yeah.
They said It's funny, like. And at that stage, people just love it because their expectations aren't very high.
$25, yeah.
They're not losing anything.
Yeah, they're just glad because they're probably busy. They just get some photos. Anyways, we got way better. Our very first wedding was $200, both photo and video. We went to the Cheesecake Factory. We splurged. I don't know why we did, or something happened, and we were with some friends, went to the Cheesecake Factory, and our waitress had a ring on. So if you're a wedding photographer, you know what we're talking about. You're always looking for those engagement rings, right? Well, she rocks over and I see it and I was like, "Yo, you married?" Or not married, but you engaged? Yeah, I just got engaged or something like that. "Oh, when's your wedding?" And da-da-da. And we started talking, and we told her we'd do her wedding for $200. Photo and video, she hired us on the spot, and we shot that, and it wasn't bad.
We drove
3 hours away.
3 hours away, had a babysitter. So we made no money, but we got some experience to showcase, hey, we shoot weddings. So our growth has always been slow. I feel like we've always grown very slow compared to like what I see now with other photographers. But with that growth, like we've gained just so much experience over the years and lots of stories to share. And through all of that, we ended up paying off $86,000 in debt.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Yeah, when I started the shipyard, or before I started the shipyard, $600 was the every 2-week paycheck. I have a tax return for $14,000 for one of those years. When I got the job at the shipyard, I got offered a $53,000 annual salary as a contractor for the shipyard. So last week or 2 weeks ago, I got a paycheck for $600. Today, I got a paycheck for $1,500. That's life-changing for people that are just barely making it. When you go from that to that, and you have that much extra income coming in, and you begin to start a small business, though it's $25, but that quickly grew, and we raised our prices from that. It was life-changing to the point that we realized that, hey, we can get out of this hole. There was hope. There was light at the end of the tunnel. We just had to endure and stick with the plan and trust the fact that, hey, what advice that we're getting at this moment from those people, the path that they've set us on, is the path that is going to allow us to win at this. So within 4 years of doing all that, so about 2011, give or take, is when, 2011 was when we started. So about 2015, actually September 25th of 2015, we were completely debt-free. $86,000 plus whatever else was paid off. Salary increased, businesses increased at the time, weddings had increased, pricings went up, all that fun stuff, and we were debt-free completely. And
it was amazing.
Yeah, September 25th. September 25th, 2018.
September 25th is a good date.
Yeah, it's a good date.
It's my dad's birthday.
No. But September 25th, 2018 is when we went full time with the business. And so it was just kind of cool that timing worked out, and we chose that day as well, just to always kind of remember that. So that's a little bit about us.
That's a lot about us.
That was a lot about us. That's who we are. That's kind of like our foundation. We're going to go over more of that throughout the podcast and different things that we're going to talk about, topics and things. What is this podcast? And best understanding of Luke's mind. No.
Yes. Well, this is Luke's baby. Okay. It's your baby.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
The pressure now is on.
This podcast is I don't want to say the word of what it's called, but it just basically is taking you from one step to another step, taking you from the beginning to the end, and we're going to teach you how to get there no matter what step you're in. I was trying to be vague, but not vague.
Cool. We may pause the video real quick so I understand what's going on in her mind, and kind of go from there. Yeah, so
It's a playbook.
It's our playbook. Yes. We're going to teach you guys. This podcast is, like we said, is going to be different. We're not necessarily going to have different guests come in, and we're not going to talk about like what's your marketing strategy. Like we've been doing this for 13 years, and we feel very confident and good in the way that we've done it. We have a way. We're not the way. We are not all and mighty with our photography. There's some amazing, tons of thousands of amazing photographers out there besides us. We just know that we have a system that worked. We have a story, and we know that there's others out there that are looking for help, that are looking for something, and that's what we want to do. We want to provide some really good advice and education for you guys on some of that stuff. So it's going to be a podcast that, like Ash said, will take you from one point, depending on where you are, up to the next point. And we're going to go into everything, you know. So the first season, so we're going to do this in seasons. We're breaking this up into 4 to 6 seasons, give or take. And each season is going to be a date range for you as a photographer. So if you're from 0 to 2 years of a photographer, season 1 is all about you. We're going to talk about everything you should be focusing on from 0 to 2 as a photographer. Should you get a website? Do you need a business license? Do you buy the fanciest camera right now? Like, how do you, and depending on your situation, how do you become a photographer successfully in the first 2 years, that first foundational step? Season 2 is going to be all about going from 3 to 5 as a photographer. You're in that 3 to 5 year mark. What should you be focusing on? What should be happening in your business? What are the things that you should start investing in? All that fun stuff. So we're going to bring on some special guests that help educate you guys further on those type of ideas. Also in season 1, 2, 3, 4. We're also going to bring on some photographers, and we're going to do some live coaching with you guys and those photographers, just so you guys can kind of see and we can kind of help and stuff like that. Season 3 is also going to be, I'm forgetting the number, 6 to 9, and I think season 4 is going to be like 10 to 14. What should you be focusing on, and kind of going from there. So a different type of podcast, an educational podcast that we really hope that it helps you guys
get to the next level.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. What else?
I think that's it. This is a lot. This has been fun, though.
Yeah. These podcast episodes are going to be shorter. They're going to be micro podcasts in a sense. They're not. Our goal is not to be 45 minutes to an hour or Joe Rogan 3.5, 4 hour long podcast. These are going to be short, quick, 10 to bite-sized 20-minute long podcasts.
Like a savory bite-size?
Yeah.
Like they're going to take a bite and they're like, ooh.
It's like going to Hell's Kitchen, Gordon Ramsay, which we just did this past October for my birthday, and even though the plate volume is small, the amount of flavor you get is just...
Yeah, but I think us Americans, we are fat. So we just want big plates. But it's all about the flavor and the savory bite that you take and how much of an impact that makes rather than the size and the quantity.
See the wisdom you're going to get from this podcast?
So much wisdom.
Goodness, somebody hire this girl for consulting or coaching.
Yeah, watch out.
Watch out. All right, so that is it right there. We are, I don't know, again, this is season 1. This is the intro. I think we're going to try to knock out 2 or 3 of these today. So if you're watching this again, we might be in the same outfits, all right? This isn't gonna be these formal pie. It's just gonna be
This is just us.
raw and uncut. Luke and Ashley.
It's not gonna be too raw though, because he's gonna go make some edits.
I'll have to cut some stuff out, yeah. But we hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much for listening to the Luke and Ashley Playbook podcast. Definitely tell your friends. Send this to your other photographer friends. Send this to somebody you think is just gonna want to learn about trial and error business or something. Definitely subscribe. I guess those are all the things you're supposed to say when you watch YouTube
Yeah,
videos.
and you're supposed to point, subscribe.
Yeah, push a button here or do the little bell thingy or tell your friends, share, all that fun stuff. But anyways, thank you guys so much. We will see you guys in the next episode.